Hey everybody, this is Dino.
And Michelle.
And we want to talk to you about our podcast. Guys, would you please? We're trying to record a promo here for our podcast.
A podcast about horror movies and video games.
A podcast about family and friends.
Yes, that's exactly what we're trying to do.
Maybe we'll put a little bit of faith in there too.
And being decent to each other.
Sounds good to me.
Hey Nico, what should we call it?
Podcast.
On the Farsighted Network.
Hey there, this is John from Pint Comics.
And I'm Lloyd, also from Pint Comics.
And I'm the other John, and you get it by now. As you may know, we sometimes use language on this show that can be described as
Filthy.
Okay.
reprehensible,
Crude.
Sure.
nasty.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, guys. We all know that it's just plain out gutter talk.
You've been warned. Listen in.
Welcome to the Pint Movie Invitational Series.
Did you hear? School's canceled today because Kurt and Ram killed themselves in a repressed homosexual suicide pact.
No way.
Welcome back to another episode of Pint Comics, and as you know, whenever you hear Andrew Morgan leading us in, it means it's a Pint Movie Invitational Series. We invite someone on, and they pick a movie, and then we watch said movie all separately, and then we convene. It's almost like a book club,
We
except
should
for
do
movies.
it together, I think.
You know how hard that would be.
Yeah, it would be.
You know how hard that
the
would be.
logistics just couldn't
Watching
work
a
out.
movie all together,
Yeah.
concentrating on it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, especially with Lloyd, because I recently went to the movies with Lloyd earlier this week.
Where are we going with this?
And I at one point I wanted to say something to him, and I leaned over, and Lloyd is dead asleep.
Really?
Dead asleep. Lloyd will tell you, right?
See, now you understand.
Before we get into the stories, let's of course make the introductions.
Yeah.
Sir John's not here tonight with us. He had some vehicular problems. We have the Manster, Lloyd,
Manster here,
and Johnny Ganache, and we are here with our friend, and I'm going to say his last name right. If it's the fucking
all right,
last
I
thing
can
I ever
butcher
do.
it.
No,
Can I
I'm
say
going to
it?
do it. You want to do it?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay.
Neal Damiano.
Good.
I like that.
right.
Damiano.
Yes.
Because my thing is it Damiano? Is
Right.
it, and then it was,
Yeah,
it
I
was
get
the third.
Damiano.
Yeah.
I get, it's not the easiest name to pronounce.
No, it's not hard.
You know?
It's not hard. It's a good name. It's a strong looking name for sure.
It's a strong name.
I like it. All right. So Neal picked a movie. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes, but I do want to, before we get into who Neal is and all that, I do want to say that on earlier this week, Lloyd is currently between jobs. He's moving on to a brand new career.
That's right. Yep.
And my wife is on vacation this week, and I get no time off, and I had Tuesday off. So I said to my wife, I want to go see a movie. Let's go see a movie. And Lloyd was like, I'll go see that movie with you guys. So
Absolutely.
we all went together to see the movie. And about, I don't know, an hour into it, there was just a point that I thought something funny had happened. And again, I don't know if I mentioned this, 10:30 in the morning, we're at a movie theater to see this movie. And I lean over to talk to Lloyd, and you looked so fucking peaceful. You honestly looked so
the
peaceful.
only peace I get is when I fall asleep in movies.
That's it.
You looked so beautiful and
I mean,
peaceful.
Didn't I?
Was the movie just not interesting, or what was the
No,
movie?
all right, if anybody doesn't know this, I fall asleep when I sit down and my body's not moving. It's kind of like a narcolepsy sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's happened my whole entire life, and it sucks when it happens driving, but
And the killer thing is, if you don't know from, I'm sure you've seen the videos if you listen to the show, but Lloyd is like a fit dude. Like you're not like, you're not like a guy like I'm a big dude. It's not like me. I'm just like falling asleep at the drop of a hat. People will be like, well, he's overweight. I can get that.
I don't think that makes a difference.
Well,
does it?
I'm saying like in terms of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
More often or not, you see the big guys like snoozing when they're just like sitting there.
All right, I see where you're going.
And here we are. I'm like fully awake in this movie. I lean over. The movie was Hellboy, by the way. I lean over to say something, to Lloyd. Oh, I can't believe that scene in Hellboy. And he's babes in arms.
Relaxed.
In swaddling clothes.
Relaxed. In swaddling clothes I was just waiting for a feather to be on his lips and like the Three Stooges,
What scene is it? Because I was a little confused at that part of that. Because I wake up and I don't realize
the Baba Yaga scene. You were out for the whole thing. So there's a scene in the middle of the movie where Hellboy meets Baba Yaga, the witch that he has, that he owes a favor to.
Because I remember waking up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where are they?
Yeah, you were totally out.
No, I heard that wasn't good. I got mixed reviews on that.
We're going to talk about it at some point.
Yeah,
I don't want to give away our official stance on it, but I will say that I don't get the hate. That's all I'll say about that. I don't get the hate.
Right.
But Neal, we met Neal through our friend Larry Dwyer, through Connecticut Cult Classics, Scary Larry Dwyer.
Yes.
At the last show in February, which was Stephen King Night number 2, Neal was there, and he won our raffle prize. We had a raffle prize from a gentleman I met on Instagram. I don't remember his name. I'll get that out to you guys later. He makes these cool little night lights that are neat. They have LEDs in them, and they're made out of old school video cassettes.
VCR tapes?
VHS tapes,
Yeah.
And
it was
pretty rad.
It was Phantasm.
Phantasm, yes.
Right. So Neal was nice enough to let me take a picture of him with it to put on our Instagram, and we started chatting. And I think I just said to him, I said, we're doing this thing. And he had mentioned to me that, and this is where Neal's film expertise comes into play, is that you are not just a fan, you write, right?
Yeah, I write for a site out of England called Top 10 Films. They've been around since 2010, I believe, and it's basically 3 gentlemen that just have a love of film, and they do top 10 film lists of just about everything, from top 10 comedies, top 10 drama films, top 10 horror films. The list goes on and on. Top 10 actors, certain actors, like top 10 Robert De Niro films. And it's just a fun site for people that are into film. You don't even really have to be into film. It's a fun site to float around and just look at these lists and agree with them or debate on the lists. And I've been writing for them since about 2012. And I got probably over 50 top 10 lists on there and like 20 articles.
So how'd you get hooked up with them?
I was writing... I was writing reviews because I've always loved film. So I was writing reviews on Amazon, which is an open platform for anybody. This is years ago, before all these all these like sites and stuff. I was getting a lot of comments, like over 50 comments to 100 comments of people
to your reviews.
Yeah, to my reviews, which was a surprise. And then a buddy of mine had mentioned, why not start a film blog? And that's when film blogs were getting big. So I started a film blog called Film Wad, and it was small. And basically I had some writers contributing to it, and I edited it myself, really DIY, small time.
I think I've heard of Film Wad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have? I'm surprised.
Well, I'm not kidding. The title at least is familiar
Film
to me.
Wad.
Yeah.
And now it's debunked. But Dan Stevens, thank God for him, he caught wind of it, and he had emailed me.
Dan Stevens, I know the actor Dan Stevens.
Yeah, no, not
not that
guy.
not Mutant X or whatever. Right. What is that?
No, not that guy.
Not Legion.
Legion, yeah.
And he emailed me. He said, I really like your writing. It's very like public oriented. It's not so, and this is going to sound like an insult to me, but I don't take offense. It's not so AP style.
Yeah,
which I like.
Fine.
It's basically for the common man. I mean, like a relatable reviews. So he's like, did you ever, would you check out my site and be interested in writing for it? And I was like, sure, it's an opportunity. So I looked up his site and I fell in love with it. And it's basically a simple layout, but it's very professional. And he gave me a list. He said, I want to do a top 10 80s films list.
Oh, there you go.
And that was right up my alley because I love
that.
80s films. Anybody who knows me, I love 80s films.
I'm assuming by looking at you, you're a child of the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Big time. And so I was like, oh, this is perfect. So he gave me like 4 days or so, a weekend to do it. And I gathered it up, wrote it up, and sent it to him. And he's like, I'll check it out, and I'll let you know if it goes live. And he loved it. And he said, yeah, I'd like to bring you aboard to contribute.
Good deal.
And it's really easy. It's what you want to write. It's not so deadline oriented and stuff like that. And like over 50 lists later since 2012, I've been writing for him.
I love lists, man.
Yeah,
You either love lists
Sir
or
John,
you don't.
not a list guy, but
Me and Lloyd love lists. Our other host, John, hates lists. So we've done several list shows, but it's always kind of hard because John doesn't want to do list shows. But I like lists. I like to say this is.
But you know what? His contributions to lists are always pretty damn good.
No, his lists are always great. Absolutely. When he does it, which he always does, despite not wanting to do it, maybe he always makes great lists.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love writing lists, especially on film. And it's subjective, but it's open for debate. For film debate, which I love, which I get positive comments, but I get people saying, "Why'd you put this ahead of this?" And
because it's my opinion.
Yeah, it's my list.
It's my list. Make your list. Become a writer.
Do you come up with your own list ideas and then have to run it by them?
Yeah, it's really Dan Stevens runs it really hands on. Like you have an idea and you send it to him and he's like, "Cool." He greens lights it all the time, and it's really. You're open to your creativeness to write the list.
What's your favorite list you did?
I did a top 10 American influential horror films list.
Oh, okay.
That was one of my favorites. And that got over 60 comments. It's one of the biggest, it's one of the most popular lists on his site.
That's awesome.
What was your number one on that?
Oh, God.
This might have been 20 years ago. He doesn't remember.
It was a while ago. I don't even remember, sadly enough. I know the films I put on there. I put American Werewolf in London. I put Rosemary's Baby. I put Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think that was number one. Texas Chainsaw Massacre was number one, actually. It just came to my mind.
It's extremely American. It's got Texas right in the title. That movie, that situation couldn't happen anywhere but America. So
that was my number one. And I had The Thing on there. Which was high.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, this guy before Lloyd became a full-fledged host of the show, he always was was helping us out and basically a part-time host. One of the first invitational episodes we did was The Thing.
It's a masterpiece.
It truly is.
It's a masterpiece film.
It truly is.
I'll argue that with anybody. It's just a masterpiece of a film. And it's surprised when it came out, it went against E.T. It just got bashed.
Yep.
It was not revered, and then years later, now it's considered a masterpiece.
Oh, it's an absolute classic. It not at the time it came out, but neither was Blade Runner the same year, and look where we're at with that. So, all right, so Neal, we bring you on. We asked you, what did you want to pick for a movie? What movie did you choose for us to watch and talk about?
I picked the very dark, funny film Heathers,
1989.
89.
Yes.
This is truly a cult classic.
Absolutely.
I was thinking about it today. I think we've recorded 8 episodes of the Movie Invitational so far, and I think at least 6 of them are 80s movies. People are really connected to the 80s. Yeah, so let's think about it real quick.
Spotless Mind, not 80s.
The only ones that were not 80s were we did Memento and Adaptation with the Morgan Brothers.
Yep.
Eternal Sunshine, which hasn't come out yet, and then everything else is an 80s movie.
Everything else.
We did The Thing. We did no, I'm sorry, I take that back. We did one 90s. We did Blade, but everything else is an 80s movie.
Yeah. Escape from New York,
Labyrinth. So we've talked a lot about the 80s, but so we're right at the end of the 80s here. So I asked this of everybody before we start talking about the actors, about the movie and everything. What is your connection to this movie? Everybody comes to us with a different reason. Some of us, it's either a favorite movie or it's just something they were interested in. What's this in your wheelhouse?
Well, I mean, Heathers holds a connection to me because when I was young, I watched a lot of movies, and I watched a lot of the teen movies, a lot of the John Hughes films I was a fan of, and the Coreys, the 2 Coreys films.
Oh, yeah.
Admittedly, I was watching those, and I loved those. And then comes, summer of '89, I see this film with Christian Slater, and I liked Christian Slater. I grew up, Legend of Billie Jean. I just started liking Christian Slater a lot. And, I saw him in there, and Wynona Ryder, of course, from Beetlejuice, was a fan of hers. And
Born on my birthday.
Oh,
not
really?
the same year. Not
Really?
the same year, yeah.
And, I watched it on TV. I didn't go to the theater to see it, but I was young, but I watched it on TV, and I was blown away. Can we... What's the language on here? Can we switch?
Fuck yeah.
Okay. Fucking sure. You can fucking swear. I was fucking blown away, man. I was just like, this, it hit me like a ton. I'm like, wow, this is, it was scarily enough. It was relatable to me. I like that it was, even back then when I was young, I could, I wasn't too a fan of the popular kids and the jockey kids. And his character just I related to. I was just like, this guy's fucking badass.
Yeah, he's
I mean, he just doesn't give a fuck.
No.
What is it? What is it she says at some point? Have you done this before?
Yeah. Yeah, well, there's also another. I've got a bunch of quotes here. We'll go over later on.
yeah, it's so quotable.
I wanted to print out some of the quotes because my brain. I laughed at them last night, but I would never be able to bring them all back to the table. So I brought a couple. So we got Heathers. You bring Heathers to us, and my history with Heathers is I remember seeing it many, many, many years ago. Probably first release in video, probably 1990, 91, and it didn't really stick with me. But I mean, this is one of those movies that I was probably about 14 at that time, and this is one of those movies that's like kind of hard to grasp in terms of what it really is. It's a fucking black comedy.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think maybe when I saw it, from seeing the previews, I thought it was going to be kind of like a John Hughes movie.
John Hughes.
Yeah, exactly. It's still essentially a teen movie,
Right.
But it's an anti-teen. It's the backlash of the Hughes, where the protagonists want to be popular in Hughes films. They're the underdog. They look up to the popular.
Yeah.
They strive to be that. Whereas Heathers reversed it. You had two protagonists, Wynona Ryder, Veronica, and JD, Christian Slater, that were like, fuck the popular people. We don't like them. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's the total opposite. So that was intriguing. Totally opposite of the...
Although both rich, too.
They were both rich.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things I liked about this movie that they did was they started it right off the bat with the Wynona Ryder character, Veronica. You learn through story beats that she was at one point not the popular girl who becomes. But what I liked about what they did with this one was it starts with her already like in with this clique that she's now like it's so far along that she's getting tired of being this
it's slowly,
asshole, for the sake of being an asshole. And we'll get into that too, as to like
starts right away.
It starts right away. She's in the first scene of the movie.
Even
she is immediately
when she's also when they're playing croquet, and then you see what they're aiming at. And it's her buried, her head.
I do want to bring this up real
which
quick.
was a little odd, but
I wanted to bring this up. Is croquet a thing amongst like kind of like
rich people?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I don't want to sound dumb, but like there was a real focus on croquet through this movie.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't know.
It's an elite kind of thing.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
they're also, there's I forget the exact line, but that's when that quote came up. Like, you going to take two turns or are you going to
knock
send
me
me?
out? Right.
Did you eat it? Fuck.
You could see like it's symbolism. Like she's still the outsider. They knock her ball out.
Right.
Meaning that, you got a ticket into the popular club by us. And like you should fight to be here. You know what I mean?
Right.
Be
You're
cool.
not you're not patched in yet.
Exactly. And and you could see like she still has an affinity for the unpopular. Like, she still has a connection to the girl that's not so bad.
Oh yeah, she stops and talks to her old
she doesn't
former
totally
friends.
like become asshole-ish like 100%. You know what I mean? So she still has kind of a rebel individualism in her, whereas the other two, Heather Chandler and Heather Duke, absolutely do not. They're so far like, we're the fucking elite and that's it. And like, you're a loser, type of thing. And you could see the contrast there, which I thought, it's interesting.
I like the fact that just a little, I guess, Easter egg, but I noticed this as I was watching it last night. You got Veronica and her friend Betty.
Right.
You're kind of playing off the Archie archetypes.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So real quick before we start getting into kind of like what goes on in this movie, let's talk about the cast. All right. So as you mentioned before, we had Wynona Ryder. She plays Veronica. We know her from Beetlejuice, Stranger Things, and later on Third Degree Larceny. You remember that? Remember
that came before Stranger.
That was before Stranger Things, right? Stranger Things is her new thing now. Christian Slater as Jason Dean or JD, Gleaming the Cube, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and Star Trek VI. There's a deep cut. He has a cameo in Star Trek VI.
He does.
His mother was a casting director in Hollywood for many years, Mary Jo Slater, and he was a huge Star Trek fan.
Yeah. Don't forget Interview with a Vampire.
Oh, I just put the goofy stuff on here.
Don't forget Cuffs.
And Cuffs, yeah, with was that
with a K?
Kuffs, yeah. So he is in the end of Star Trek VI. He comes to either I think Sulu's quarters to wake him up. He's in the silhouette of the door, and you could tell it's him. And he's like, Captain Sulu. He's got that the voice. Let's see, Shannon Doherty, Heather Duke. She's one of the three Heathers. Obviously,
Heather.
90210. Mallrats Charmed. And this is apparently, from what I was reading, this is the first project that she was on where she started getting the reputation for being a bitch. Apparently,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Apparently, she felt that she was in a drama. And
Right.
I guess when she went to the premiere and it was a black comedy, she stormed out,
cried and ran away.
and got pissed off.
Really
and,
pretentious. Yeah.
and she's been known for.
She didn't like the
I love
cursing.
Shannon Doherty,
And
but
You know what? Hey, you know what? Shannon Doherty has been fighting breast cancer, I think, and you know what?
No.
I'm all for her getting
Fuck
better.
cancer.
I'm all for her getting better. We got. Let's see. Is it Kim? What did I can't even read
Kim
my-
Walker.
Kim Walker plays
As
Heather Chandler.
And Heather won. Yeah.
Heather won.
Bitchiest one.
She was the first one to go. She was in Say Anything, and she had a career in TV, Highway to Hell, and she was on an episode of Hunter. And unfortunately, she passed away in 2001 at the age of 32 from a brain tumor. She has the line in the movie.
Man.
Ironically.
Her line was, "What did you eat? A brain tumor for breakfast?"
There was two ironic deaths in that. There's hers, and another character, one of the male characters, said he prays at one point that he never commits suicide.
Yeah.
That actor committed suicide like 10 years later.
Yeah. He was actually an interesting character. He was actually dated the Heather one at one point, and then he became intellectually nerdy.
Right, because he says that he used to date her.
Oh,
right.
that guy.
Right,
Yes.
and
I remember
he's
that.
kind of like fuck the popular people too, and he sticks up actually for Veronica
Yes.
throughout the whole film.
Yep.
And I liked his character a lot.
Yeah,
that
it was too bad when I read that. Let's see.
Lisanne Falk.
Yes, yeah, she was Heather McNamara.
That was Heather 1, right?
Yeah, Heather 2.
Heather 2.
Right.
Heather 2.
Less Than Zero and Suicide Kings many years later. She didn't do much else. And I just put this in here because I thought it's interesting trivia. Betty Finn, the Betty of the Veronica and Betty, who's not in a lot of the movie, is an actress named Renee Estevez, and she's the sister of Charlie
such
Sheen.
an important character.
She is. She's a super important character, and she was cute. She was, she's cute. I felt bad for her because she had such a good attitude about the fact that her friend has become this thing, and
she's apologizing for when she bumps into her chair.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
She's kind of like very meager.
But it all ties together at the end because Veronica goes back to her.
Yes.
Goes back to her roots.
Right.
Yes.
You
Well,
know, which is
yeah.
great.
Once, we'll get into the whole plot here too. So, it was directed by Michael Lehman. This guy ended up directing Hudson Hawk a couple years later, which I've never seen, but is widely known as a horrible flop.
Yeah.
It was made for a lot of money, didn't make anything. And he made one of my favorite movies of the 90s, Airheads. Did you ever see Airheads?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Brendan Fraser, Adam Sandler, and Steve
I've
Buscemi.
never seen it, but I would like to.
Check it out. They play a band who take a radio station hostage, so that they'll play their single. It's fantastic, and it was written by Daniel Waters. Daniel Waters wrote Batman Returns. He wrote Demolition Man. He wrote The Adventures of Ford Fairlane. So he's got a pretty good pedigree of '90s movies.
Well, he actually won a Edgar Award for the script.
For Heathers, right?
Heathers, yeah.
Because it wasn't just he did the story and screenplay. This is his thing. It's not like this was based off a novel or anything like that.
No, yeah, it was all his original idea, and it didn't create a lot of money at the box office. It became a huge cult hit, but it got recognized. It's in the top 500 Empire list of films. I think it's at like 412 or something like that. Which it says something about the film.
This certainly did not do well at the box office. We'll talk. We talk box office at the end of the show. This did not. This actually, out of all the movie invitational ones we've done, this is the worst of any of the box office we've ever talked about. So that's your cast. So basically, Neal, why don't you walk us through the idea of what this movie's about?
Okay, basically, it's about it's a rich community in Ohio. Not much to do in Ohio. It's based around a high school, Westerberg High, which is basically named after Paul Westerberg from the famous group in the 80s, The Replacements, which Michael Lerman was a big fan of the band. There's basically centered around three Heathers, popular girls in the school, and then Veronica, and they're a clique. And they're pretty much bitchy to everybody. And
they're the fucking
pretty
worst.
much, yeah. Everybody
just
fears
saying
them.
it lightly, yeah. And they do like kind of these. They make fun of people in the lunchroom, and they're just really snobby. And they have this kind of thing where they make this question: "What would you do?"
The poll question, right.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
right.
aliens came to the Earth. What would you do?
Right, you inherit what, $5 million?
Yeah.
You have 2 days to
aliens
live,
come to the
yeah.
Earth. And, yeah.
And basically, typical teen movie that the adults are kind of a backdrop, a secondary kind of. They have their little 2 cents in, but it's focused more on the kids in the school.
The Wynona Ryder character's parents are as,
out there
as cardboard of characters as you could get. The
Yeah,
father
they're
just
sitting
seems,
there, and the father says, "Why do I read these?
Why do I
spy
smoke
novels?
these things or something? Because you're an asshole.
Why do I read these damn spy novels?
Because you're an idiot, Dad."
Yeah, those characters are brutal.
Yeah. So basically, they're just really nasty girls. Just really fucking mean. But Veronica has a light heart. She still, has a soul. They get a new student named JD, which is played by Christian Slater, and he's basically dresses all in black, which is kind of foreshadowing.
Trench coat
coming in, trench coat. It caused some.
Well, he looks
controversy.
kind of like James Dean sitting out there.
He's all in his Jack Nicholson glory in the film.
He is. This is the most Jack Nicholson we ever saw him.
Yeah.
So they basically, Heather Duke and Heather Chandler and Veronica come up to him in the lunchroom. He's sitting by himself, which says a lot. It sets the mood where he's a rebel. He doesn't care about anybody else. Fuck everybody else. I'm an individual.
He's just observing the entire time.
Yeah.
And he's got the black trench coat on, the slicked hair, and looking really cool.
Yeah, he looks cool in this, I have to say. and Wynona Ryder, probably the best I've ever seen her look in any movie.
I've never, we talking about Wynona Ryder right now. A lot of guys I know love her. I'll give a shout out to Shane from Media Mosh, Chris Riddell's buddy, who's a friend of ours. He loves her. I've never really had a thing for Wynona Ryder, but as I was watching this, I thought she's really cute in this.
In this movie,
her hair could have done a little. You could have done a little bit something with the hair, but in all honesty, she's very cute in this movie.
Yeah. And they walk up to him and they ask him the poll question: aliens and here at the take over the world, and you
inherit $5 million, but aliens tell you they're going to blow the world up in 2 days. What do you do with the money?
And he introduced it. He goes greetings and salutations, which I thought was fun.
Right.
And they didn't get it. And I be honest, I don't remember what his answer was.
Well, I'll tell you, I remember. She comes up to him, Veronica, and says, "I got to ask you a question. It's a stupid question." He goes, "There are no stupid questions."
Yeah,
and then when she asks it, he says, "That's the stupidest question I've ever heard."
Yeah.
And that was his answer.
You pretty much know that he's like the rebel loner type guy. Veronica falls for him. They start dating. From there, all hell breaks loose. She has no idea that he's a complete sociopath.
He's a psychopath.
Totally. A complete fucking.
His interest in her is almost entirely. He does love her, but in his weird way. Right. But his interest almost is entirely stemmed from the fact that he wants to try to infiltrate her world to start killing her friends off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, people don't get until later. Like he has a premeditated thing he wants to do, and that's blow up the school,
right?
Because his theory, I don't know if you want to get into this at the end, but his whole theory is that the only way social cliques can really coexist is through death,
right?
His thing, a trip.
Right. The petition that he's getting everybody to sign is a mass suicide note. That's going to be
And she doesn't, she doesn't get it. She just sees the cool factor, and the other two don't approve. They think he's an asshole, and eventually he starts getting Veronica to participate in killing the popular kids, killing the
Heathers first.
Yeah, they start off with Heather 1, who's a real bitch. But I mean, again, do we deserve to die? No.
Liquid Drano.
She's the worst. Yeah, Liquid Drano right down the pipes.
Oh, right. Well, they go to a party, right? Like a frat party.
A frat party.
They go to Remington College?
Remington College frat party with the oldest. Wynona Ryder gets set up to bone the oldest guy in college ever.
I love when they're standing there and the guy goes, I'm so sick and tired of asking girls what's their major.
Yeah.
Right? She's still in high school.
Yeah.
And they're awkwardly just standing there in silence. He goes, so what are you going to study when you come to college?
Yeah. And he's obviously in real life maybe 3 years younger than you, Lloyd.
Yeah.
It is.
And, they get into an argument at the party and the whole lick it up scene.
She barfs.
She pukes on the other Heather's shoes.
And lick it up, baby, lick it up. One of the famous quotes, and basically, Veronica basically is like, my friends, they're pretty much my enemies. She has a talent for copying for writing.
She's a forger,
forger. Right. So that comes into play, and that helps JD's plan out. Veronica goes along for the ride. through most of it. And then, the famous scene where she burns herself. They're in a car and she burns herself
with the cigarette lighter.
Yeah, to feel pain, and he basically
lights his cigarette
off.
Right,
which I thought was hilarious.
That was a good scene.
It's just knocking him off. And Heather Duke kind of replaces Heather Chandler as kind of the head bitchy.
Kind of also through JD's machinations. He's manipulating her into now becoming the head because he feels like there's got to be a head there for him to have. There's a lot going on there.
And the backdrop on JD is his father's a psychopath too, who actually killed
his mother. Right. I was going to ask about that because
was...
I will admit I watched the movie last night. I stayed awake for the whole thing. During that conversation, I think my wife might ask me a question, and I forgot to rewind it.
So you missed something?
I missed a little bit. So the father did kill the mother.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My mom waved to me from the building.
From the building as the father.
Veronica didn't get that.
Right. As the father who was a he was a what do you want to call that?
A bomb.
A construction guy.
Right.
He
demolition guy.
Demolition guy. Yeah. He blows the building up with his wife in it.
So you kind of get a backdrop of how fucked up.
I want to go back for a sec back to when they killed the first Heather.
Yes.
Do you recall the last thing she said?
Corn nuts?
Yeah, corn nuts.
Corn nuts.
Which brings you back to when they were at the, I don't know, I'll call it a Quickie Mart.
Regular or BQ?
Right. Get corn nuts.
BQ.
Oh, that's where the slushy scene was as well.
The film has its own lingo. Pretty much fuck me with a chainsaw.
Well, that's the thing. I'll be honest. That's the thing. So like I said, I'd seen it once a long time ago. About 2 months ago, I came home from work. My wife had been off from work. And she found it on Hulu and was watching it. And she was probably halfway through. So I sat down next to her and I was reading comics or something. And I was kind of half paying attention. I was like, God, this movie is not good. But I was out of context. So last night when I started watching it again, I'll be honest, the very beginning with a lot of the lingo, at first it felt forced to me. Fuck me with a chainsaw. And I felt like a lot of it was just like, okay, they're trying to make us aware that these teens have their own vernacular.
Right.
But to the movie's credit, by about the 20-minute mark, I was involved in it.
Yeah.
And
it felt believable at that point. It doesn't feel forced, really.
It didn't feel forced. When she says, fuck me with a chainsaw, I was like, oh, that's so forced.
Yeah.
And then when you get later on and you get the things like the corn nuts and you get other little, like there's a lot of we'll go over some of the one-liners in this.
Bulimia is so 87.
87. And, Heather, you better be careful. You might actually, ingest some food, because they established that.
Yeah.
That the Shannon Doherty, Heather Duke character is a bulimic. And it's partially because Heather, number one, is forcing her to be bulimic because you cannot be even remotely fat to be in my group.
Right.
As soon as Heather number one dies, they're sitting in the. And I actually thought this while I was watching it. Who the fuck is eating fried chicken in the girls' locker room? I'll tell you who does. Shannon Doherty does. She's sitting there.
She throws the bone over.
Yeah, she throws the bone, and she says, "You got to be careful with that. You're going to gain some weight." And she's like, "I don't fucking care." The stress of being that girl's friend is gone.
Let me ask you: for the first Heather, they went. They're making the concoction in there with the. I forget what it is. I'll just call it Drano. It was something else. It was.
Like liquid plumber or something.
Yeah, something like that. And then they made one of milk in orange juice.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was Veronica that picked up the Drano and walked into the other room.
He fooled her.
Yeah, he switched it, but then he didn't say anything.
He didn't say to her because she's walking away with the bad one. And
he pours the Drano and says, "Let's give it to her." Yeah. She says, "I'm not going to poison my friend."
Right.
She makes the milk and orange juice. He puts the plate over one of them.
He puts the cover on it.
She grabs the wrong one. And he doesn't tell her. He doesn't, but he starts
to tell her, but then
he gets the idea to, and that's the first time you realize this guy's a psycho.
Right. Yeah.
The second time you realize that he's really a psycho.
So, do you think Veronica at that point she thought it was just?
She didn't know.
She thought it was orange juice.
She thought it was orange juice and milk. She didn't know. So she gets involved in the fact that they just murdered this person. Right. She's got to try to figure out how to.
So she legitimately, where I'm going with this is, she legitimately thinks this was a mistake. This happened by accident.
Yeah, at initial first,
By the time they get to the second murder, which I guess we'll get to.
Well, the second murder, the two gay,
the tank and Ram,
it was Ram and whoever the other.
Well, this is interesting. I don't have it written down here, but this is an interesting factoid about that second scene. Is the second murder scene
Kurt
and Ram.
Kurt and Ram. Yeah.
They plan on scaring them by inviting them into a well they're going to invite
Well, they
them.
had spread rumors that they had a sword fight in her mouth.
Right. That they did some dirty stuff to Veronica. So
Yeah.
him and her decide we're going to get them back and make it seem like you're going to have a threesome with them.
Right.
And
in the woods behind
in
the
the woods.
school.
Beluga bullets from Germany.
Bullets, which, do you know what that means?
Yeah.
In German?
I forget.
I lied.
Yeah, I lied. That's what it was. Yeah.
So it means I lied. So he tells her that his grandfather brought these bullets back that are, let's just essentially
Tranquilizer bullets.
Tranquilizer bullets.
They'll pierce the skin.
They'll pierce the skin. Or, I guess what maybe in her head she was thinking was like rubber bullets.
Yeah.
They use on crowd control. And instead she shoots, I think, Ram through the fucking throat.
Yeah.
That was horrifying, by the way.
No, Ram was the first one. JD shot Ram, and then the other guy, Kurt, went
Ram was
okay.
running.
Okay,
Yeah.
so he shot him in the throat.
She can clearly see that the guy's dead.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's not that.
Yeah.
So
So at this point now they're both involved.
Right.
Again, she's been tricked into it, but now she is an accessory
But at
to
this
murder.
point, she is she's not so distraught as you would think.
No,
it's like kind of
that's what I thought kind of lost me a little in the film, because if she's really against this, he eventually gets this guy to come back to the clearing, and she shoots him like right in the chest, and he falls over dead.
Right.
To me,
she's under his sway. I'm not saying
she's
it's right.
going along for the ride, and she knows that these people are despicable. So, she doesn't want to kill people. She's not psychopathic.
Right. But
like
I
JD,
still think she consciously killed that guy, knowing that she was going to kill him.
subconsciously she wanted to go along with it.
At that point, I think she did, because it wasn't because now it's like, well, we're on a murder tear. It's like, okay, he knows that we killed this other guy, so he knows he's got to die.
Yeah, in his mind, the guy's got to die.
And
Right.
keep in mind, she's writing the forged notes for JD,
right.
which she doesn't have to do. She's doing it. So it's like, she's participating.
Oh, it's crazy. And one of the things that's really interesting about when this movie ends, and again, we'll talk more about it, but we could skip to the end where, in the end, she is now, gotten rid of JD, and she's come full circle, and she's back.
She's done a 180.
She's done a 180, but the problem with it is she's murdered people.
Right, exactly.
Like, where this movie ends, it's interesting because, yes, the movie ends, and yes, her and Martha Dumbtruck are friends, and she's doing cute little cartwheels around her. Yeah. This girl's a fucking murderer. It's like 17 years old. You don't know where this is going to go. And actually, Wynona Ryder has for years wanted to make a sequel to it.
They were in talks of making a part 2, which I don't, because JD's gone. So I don't know where it picks up. Maybe she becomes the the rebel now and stuff. But I don't know. I can't see that. I don't know if a part 2 would work.
This is the kind of movie that if they made a part 2, again, being that it was a cult hit and not a box office hit, a lot of times when you make part 2s to those cult hits that everybody catches on to, it doesn't work.
Right.
You know what I mean? It doesn't work. Didn't need to be done. I'm a huge Blade Runner fan. Did Blade Runner 2049 have to be done? No. Did I like things about it? Yes. But did that need to happen? No.
Right.
And this is the same. This is the same thing. Heather's can stand on its own.
But it has spawned off a TV show, which
never came
Which
out.
hasn't come out yet.
Yeah.
hasn't come out
probably
yet.
never will.
But a musical.
The musical?
musical.
The TV show, I think, was slated to come out, and it was a week after
some other high school shooting.
The big one in Florida last year. The
yeah.
Marjorie Stoneham one.
Yep.
And it's basically just sat,
And I guess we should probably say that Heathers, the movie, preceded the Columbine shooting by like 10 years.
By like 10 years.
Talk about foreshadowing.
And not for nothing, and I only realized this because of today, that's 20 years ago tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Wow.
We're recording this on April 19th. It was April 20th, 1999.
Wow.
So it's just kind of weird how this fits in with, we're talking about this movie today.
That's spooky.
That's freaky.
Because really, I don't want to get into it, but really, this school shooting bullshit that we're dealing with in this country, yes, it happened before, but Columbine was like, that was the mega. That was the mega. That was the one that kind of like influenced and started a lot of these fucking people doing this stuff. So it's just weird that 10 years before you had Heathers. And again, we talked about it. I think we talked about it off here. I might have said it at the beginning. This movie never gets made today.
No.
In a trillion years.
No. And I'm not bashing liberalism, but the liberal America, they would not.
No, I don't think anybody.
You can't write this to, like, even, You familiar with Stephen King, the Bachman books?
Yes.
The first 4 books that ever came out where they decided or realized that he was Richard Bachman, that included a book called Rage, which was about a high school shooting. And you can't buy that book. That doesn't have that story in it
But they
anymore.
have come out with a Columbine book. I've seen it. It based on
but when they do stuff like that, it tends to be. They've made movies since Columbine about school shootings. They can never make a movie like Heathers where it's about this kind of whimsical, funny, here was a scene in this movie when I watched it last night that I thought, especially today, is so hard to believe would never get in a regular movie. Was the scene in the beginning when JD is observing in the cafeteria.
Oh yeah,
and the 2 jocks,
and he scares the 2
jocks
guys.
ball up on him, and he pulls out a .44 Magnum.
Yeah, right.
And you don't know what happens at first. He takes 2 shots, and then you find out later that he was blanks, and he's back in school the next day.
Right.
Yeah, and they're even joking about it.
You got to suspend disbelief.
But I'm saying that scene in that movie was kind of hard to even watch.
Yeah.
Only based on the fact of what we've changed as a society since 1980. That's the other thing. So we'll talk about the box office in a little bit. This movie's 30 fucking years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to believe it's that
I think
old.
Shell Factory released a 30-year release on Blu-ray.
Really?
I believe. Yeah.
This movie's 30 years old. I mean, that's kind of crazy. 89.
Well, I wrote an article for Top 10 on it for the 30th anniversary for my site there.
Right.
So, for the 30th anniversary release celebrating the film, I wrote an article about it. But, it's influenced a lot of films. And the funny thing is that the way JD dressed, I don't know if the 2 Columbine kids were influenced by it, but it was basically the same. They wore the same attire.
The trench coat.
The black trench coats and the black shirt.
I'm pretty sure those guys saw that movie, Heathers.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. Well, okay, let's move past the real world.
And that has one of my favorite lines, too, is it seems to have an open door for assholes.
Yes.
Oh, right. They say to him,
assholes.
I thought there was a no gay policy in here.
Yeah.
And he says that in return.
For assholes.
Yeah, it has an open door policy for assholes, though. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, he has quite the wit.
Yeah, no, he's good.
Yeah, JD.
He's
good at writing the suicide
I can't see
notes.
anybody else playing that part other than Christian Slater.
No.
I really can't.
No, we should go to. It was supposed to be Brad Pitt.
Yep, Brad Pitt.
And the guys, whoever casting director said, no, he's too nice. Yeah, he's just too nice to play that part.
And I think that's definitely for sure. And then I was reading an article that Brad Pitt beat out Christian Slater to play the Drifter in Thelma and Louise, which was one of his first kind of popular roles.
And that was a great role for him.
That was
before California, right?
That was before California.
Yeah, I think it was either right around the same time or before. California was really kind of like an indie movie, so it wasn't as well released, but he's good in that.
Crazy movie.
He is good in that.
It's a great movie.
All right, so we go through this film, and JD just keeps getting worse with what he's doing.
So they've just killed Ram and Kurt in the woods. And
here's one thing. Here's one problem I have with this movie, and I don't know if you guys agree with me or not. I thought the acting was good. I thought the humor was good. The writing was good. There was one thing that repeatedly happened in this movie that I felt was just not as good as it could have been. The editing. There's some scenes that we change from. Like I'm going to go to an example. There's the scene where they're at the college party.
Yeah.
And she's with the guy.
I think I know where you're going with this.
And then it edits to her writing the notes in the book.
Oh yeah,
where now it's later.
Yeah.
But there's no
transition at all.
There's none.
No. Yeah,
it just snaps.
I think they did that on purposely. Like I think Michael Lerman did that purposely. For some reason, I get a feeling it was purposely.
I can see what you're saying, where he's trying to maybe trying to almost maybe like make one of the big things about watching a movie is it's supposed to be a full experience.
It throws you off a little bit when you're watching it, though.
And that's what I felt like. I felt like that threw me off a little bit.
Yep.
So there was a couple times that there was quick edits that I thought were a little off. But but again, I have no problem with that for the most part. I just felt like it was a little bit off. We're talking about like 6 degrees of stuff. The guy who plays the priest or the pastor.
That guy.
From Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
He was with her in Beetlejuice.
I hope they know they were this righteous dude.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he was what was his name? Otto?
Yeah.
In Beetlejuice, he was like the art gallery guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
And obviously that's where she got her start. But so they kill the jocks off, and she eventually breaks up with him because she realizes that he is just he's going to kill everybody.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, she finally comes to.
Go ahead.
No, that's it. She finally comes to and realizes, I got to stop this.
This guy's out of his fucking mind. But interesting enough, that also this film would never get made. Is they pass it off as Kurt and Ram being homosexual.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, and they plant the stuff in there, like the spring.
Stud
water.
puppy.
Oh, that was hilarious.
Stud puppy.
Yeah, this is Ohio. Anybody with spring
I
water.
love, I love when he's
know.
coming up with that stuff. Was it Joan Crawford photograph or postcard?
Yeah,
which is
Mon
funny.
Cherie chocolates.
Sure, and then the mineral water, the coup de grace, right?
Mineral water.
Yeah.
And then when the guys are going out, the cops that are on the scene, they pull up the mineral water and they immediately say, "Oh, this was a gay thing."
Yeah, those cops were
That
great
was
too.
hilarious.
The cops were hilarious. They're smoking weed in the car before they go for the call.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just little things like that in the film.
That and the myriad, the use of the word myriad.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny too.
Oh, they had to take it out of the suicide note because just a week before she couldn't use it in a
right. So
spelling
no,
test
they put
correctly.
it in the note because of that.
And Moby Dick into kind of
the Moby Dick reference.
Moby Dick wasn't supposed to be the book either. It was supposed to be Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah.
And J.D. Salinger's estate wouldn't allow them to use it, and they used Moby Dick because Moby Dick is in public
And it worked.
domain.
There you
No,
go.
yeah, it does work. Yeah.
And of course the funny funeral scene. I love my dead gay son.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey, what does he say?
my God.
I wonder how he'd love him if he had a pulse.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. Well, I think the funeral, the two funeral scenes
If his hand had a pulse.
Yeah.
the two. Let me see here. Hold on. I've got a quote.
Yeah, there
I've
was
got
a lot
quote
of
here.
funny bits in
I've
that,
got a
for
quote
sure.
here.
Absolutely.
And a lot of bits that were set up earlier and then paid off later.
My son's a homosexual and I love him. I love my dead gay
I
son.
love my dead gay son.
And then one of my other favorite here, let me just get to the paper here. One of my other favorite quotes that was centered around a funeral scene, and there is literally like 18 pages of quotes in this fucking movie.
God, why did you have to kill such hot snatch?
Yeah,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get to. Yeah, when Ram says, why'd you have to kill such hot snatch? Here we go. God in heaven, why'd you have to kill such hot snatch?
You know who I like too is the what was she, a counselor? The one that wanted to have the therapy session, the group therapy session.
Have we? I feel like maybe we skipped over something major for anybody that hasn't seen this movie.
Yeah.
Have we mentioned though that
Quirky teacher?
Well, no. Have we mentioned the fact that all these murders they're covering up as suicides?
Yeah,
And suicide has
right.
suicide has now
they've
become
been writing
popular.
suicide notes.
suicide has become the thing to do.
Right.
They're so crazy. And the kind of hippie cornflake teacher.
Yeah.
Who?
Space cadet teacher.
What is, she has a line too in there. It says, "Whether to kill yourself or not is one of the most important decisions a teenager can make."
Yeah.
The best though is when the principal goes, "Call us when your plane land or your spaceship lands."
Yes.
Yeah.
Teacher.
Doesn't he say something like the shuttle's here for you?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Tell me when the shuttle
Tell
lands.
me when the shuttle lands.
That's
Yeah.
it.
The other line I liked a lot was, well, not so much a line, but it was just a scene, was when Veronica comes home and her very weird parents are like, was it Heather or JD said that you might want to kill yourself. We're supposed to check for jagged objects and sharp things. Like they're such 50s cartoon
They
character.
are absolutely
From
cartoon
Archie,
cutouts,
yeah, basically.
All of the adults in this movie are weaned out of Archie comics or 50s TV shows. They're so out of touch with with these kids and what's going on in their lives.
Well, was it Teenage Suicide? Do it, just do it.
Just do it. Just
Big
do it.
Fun,
Big
I think,
Fun.
was that the
Big
name of the
Fun. It
band?
was just like an uplifting song
Yeah.
about
Right.
suicide.
Yeah, this is an odd movie. It's definitely
It is. It's not, and it's not for everybody. But it just tapped a nerve with me. I got all of the, and as I watch it more and more over the years, I just got all the nuances and the humor and the references, and it's just so jam packed with all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I fell in love with it, and not many people know. I don't know if you guys know, but there was an actual alternate ending that was too dark, and they had to change it.
I read about that.
Yeah. The alternate, I don't know if you want to get into it now.
Yeah.
Okay. The alternate ending basically was that he did blow up the school. JD pulled it off with Veronica, and they end up still together, and they agreed to make the cliques all coexist in heaven.
In heaven, yeah.
He actually did blow up the school.
Was
and
it
they
filmed
thought
or was it
too
just
dark.
scripted?
I believe it was filmed, and then they at the last they were like, "This is just too dark for American audience."
This movie is too dark for American
Yeah, no, I
audiences.
think the ending they took was the right one.
Yeah.
It's a better ending than that.
And they changed
but to think that the ending was too dark there when you're dealing with all this dark
Yeah.
bullshit is
Yeah.
wrong. You know?
Yeah, I mean, back then in 1989, it was like shocking. Oh my God, the whole school blown up. But, look what's come out nowadays with the Saw, with all this stuff. It's like, But yeah, back then they considered, they were like, people were not going to like this ending, so we're going to make it where Veronica's the hero and she stops him from blowing up the school and he ends up killing himself with the bomb.
This is a movie that I didn't do it for this show, and I should have, because I just thought of it now. I'm going to do it afterwards. I want to go back and look at the original trailer for this movie. And I want to see if it's discernible in any way, shape, or form what this movie's really about.
I watched it. It's a funny trailer.
But does it?
That's a good idea.
Does it touch on what this movie's really about, or is it like,
probably just comedy? Showing you the little funny bits and that's it?
No, I mean, as much as a trailer can do it, it's kind of satirical.
Yeah,
the trailer too, but you don't know what you're getting into.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because there's been a couple movies where you see the trailer afterwards, and you're like, how did they avoid the entire actual plot of this movie? Again, this is a movie that came out in the same year as like Star Trek V and Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade and Batman. And, it's such a weird movie. Yeah, it's so far to the right.
Different, yeah.
And plus it's coming off the tail end of those, hokey Hughes films where like, the main characters end up winning in the end.
Right.
Yeah, it's like the anti-John Hughes film.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. This movie is like the deconstruction of John Hughes.
Surprisingly enough, Michael Lerman was a big John Hughes fan. He was an influence.
Oh, I don't look at this movie and see it as being like, well, they're making fun of it. I just see it as being like, this is what's happening in one universe. This is what's happening in a parallel universe, because again, the John Hughes movies are very idyllic. It's these perfect, Illinois.
You win, you learn a lesson.
Right. You get the girl, or you end up having your 16th birthday party with Jake, and everything's happy in the end.
They got these 5 kids that end up becoming best friends at the end because
of
detention.
Because of detention. These kids would never be friends in real life. Right. I don't know. I will say, Neal, when you brought this to us, I was like, oh, shit. Because we've been doing these Pint Movie Invitationals, and there's been a couple people who
threw you for a loop, huh?
You threw me for a loop, but I made it, when we decided to do this, I made it a point. I don't care. If someone changes their mind, they can change their mind, but if you tell me that's what you're watching, we're going to watch it.
Right.
If I hate it, I hate it, and we'll talk about why I hate it. If I love it, I love it. But the ones that have surprised me, there have been 2 so far that have surprised me, where I'm like, I'm not going to really enjoy this, and I end up enjoying it. Heather's is one of them. Kind of was like, especially because I had kind of seen bits of it maybe within the last 2 months, and I only caught like probably 20 minutes. And again, I did mention this off the air. This movie, when you watch it, I guess maybe hairstyles, clothes, it's very dated.
It's dated, yeah.
Like if Heather number 1, who's the most popular girl in school, came to a school in 2019 dressed like she is in this movie, she would get beaten to death.
You got like the Esprit skirts and, the Benetton.
What is that? Right. What is that jacket she's wearing in the beginning? She looks like it was made out of, remember those old Friendlies uniforms?
Yeah.
She looks like she's wearing a Friendlies uniform.
It's just rich girl stuff.
But you have Clueless. Clueless, the clothes are similar.
Yeah.
And it came out, 10 years after.
I think Clueless was kind of 95, so like 6 years later.
Yeah.
But Clueless, at least maybe, if the girls from Clueless showed up in like school today, they would still kind of be hot and still look kind of, okay, maybe a little dated.
Yeah.
The 89 Heather's look is
totally
just like,
dated.
Holy cow.
Skate world-ish,
Yeah, like the
that world's not here anymore.
The power look. Gone. The power look is the scrunchy. Right. You know what I mean?
The
like
power look.
Everybody gets the scrunchy.
Speaking of the scrunchy, that if you want to get back to sort of, we only were talked halfway through the film.
We're still going. Yeah.
Well, I mean, JD has the metal head look. You don't see a lot anymore. Like,
right.
The old school metal. Kind of all black. And,
but I
gloves.
think
riding a motorcycle.
Yeah.
It was after the killing of Kurt and Ram that Heather number 2 ended up, or the Shannon Doherty Heather. I said Heather. Gets the red scrunchie, right? JD gives her.
Passes it along.
So she becomes basically Heather 1.
She's Heather number 1.
She's the new bitch in town.
And now she starts to take out her shit on Heather number 3.
On Heather 3, because Heather 3 called the radio show and, kind of get real with them.
Well, she gets real with them. And I wanted to bring this up because to me, it's one of the realest scenes in the whole movie.
Right.
In terms of not that scene, but kind of what forces her there. It's so subversively weird. So the scene where they go out with Ram and
Kurt.
Yeah.
to the double date.
Yeah.
Heather number 3 says, "Come with me, Veronica."
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to go without a friend for Ram. They go out on this double date and they go cow tipping and whatever. They're having shenanigans. And then we switch over and then
Ohio fun.
Yeah,
and then the scene switches
we did that
over
at UConn too.
There's this scene where it switches over where now you have Veronica talking to, who is she paired up with? Kurt, right?
I think it was Kurt.
She's talking to Kurt and he's trying to get in her pants.
Right.
And in the background on the field, she's getting date raped.
Yeah.
That scene's hardcore.
Yeah.
You could tell.
absolutely.
You could tell, and I hate to say it to sound like this. You could tell she doesn't want it. She's struggling against him,
Right.
And it's played
Funny.
in the
it's
background, like it's
almost
just,
like it's second. Yeah. Like
I
it's
won't say
acceptable.
funny. I would say more like this is like what happens in this town.
Yeah.
And you know what? So Veronica's trying not to have him get in her pants, and meanwhile, this other girl's getting raped.
Not really funny, but like it's acceptable.
No,
Like,
I know what you mean.
know
It's
what
like
I mean?
it's not the norm. This is not the norm in our world.
Right.
But in their world, this is the
In
norm.
their world, yeah.
It's just
You
going on.
go out with one of the jocks, and whether you
That's
want it
what
or
you
not,
expect.
You're
That's
gonna
what
get
you're signing
laid.
up for.
Yeah,
Rough play.
yeah,
Basically.
Yeah. I thought that scene was
Which
actually
is
kind of
bullshit,
disturbing.
but-
It totally is
It's a-
bullshit.
It's a disturbing film. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at it, it is a disturbing film. It influeed a lot of films too. Like Jawbreaker. Have you guys seen Jawbreaker?
I've never seen it, but I've heard
it's a twist. It's a reversal. The Rose McGowan plays the JD character. You know what I mean? It's so.
Is it Hot
similar.
Rose McGowan?
Hot Rose McGowan, absolutely.
I love Rose. I
I
used to love
recommend
Rose
you seeing
McGowan.
it. It's a good. It's so influenced. I don't want to say copy, but it's so influenced by Heather. So
Right.
you
No, I've
you
never
can
seen that.
evidently
Jawbreaker.
see
I've
it.
heard of it.
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
It's another dark film. It's the same thing. They're killing off the popular girl Rose McGowan, and she wants to become prom queen. That's the motive. It's a really crazy film, also.
All right.
But I mean, you got Mean Girls, which is
Mean Girls.
Obviously, it's Mean Girls is funnier. It's lighthearted. It's more.
It's
fun.
lighthearted, but Mean Girls is
it's
a
influenced.
yeah.
It influenced definitely.
Yeah, I actually love Mean Girls.
Oh, it's great. Mean
I
Girls is
still
great.
can't. I mean, Mean Girls proves to me that if Lindsay Lohan wasn't such a personal wreck, she would be a huge star.
Absolutely.
Because she's really good in that
Sex
movie.
appeal.
She's
Yeah.
hot.
She could
and-
act.
That was great,
And
yeah.
she just really blew herself out of the water with all her problems.
Yep.
That's too
Another-
bad.
yeah,
bad
train
for
wreck.
her.
But I know a lot of people who love the film, and I know a lot of people who just are like, I just didn't get it, and that's fine. I got it 100% though, and it's a debatable film though. It really
All right, you're
is.
Mr. Top 10 list guy, right? That's your whole thing? Is Heather's in your top 10 films of all time?
Good question. It's definitely in my top 50.
Okay.
I don't know where it would land, but it's in my top 50.
Not in the 10.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, not in 10, but
Not in the top. I don't know if I'd put it in the top 10.
How many times have you seen Heather's? Approximately.
Oh, definitely over 50 times.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, I have the
That's
I
big
have
time.
the like THX double disc with the director's cut commentary, all that stuff. I have the
you got the one that when
bells
you
and
put it,
whistles.
it starts off with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Wow. So you're watching it multiple times a year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
got movies like
you know,
that.
it doesn't
Yeah.
have replay value for a lot of people, but for me it does.
Right.
Even though I know it like the back of my, I've seen it 100 times,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a lot of films like that for me. Another film off the cuff is Valley Girl. Another 80s. Yeah,
You actually almost chose that one.
well, if you guys invite me on again, I would love to do
You,
Valley
you are certainly invited on again. My personal plan right now is, and we'll have you on for a regular show at some point. My personal plan right now is that after we do the first 20 different people, so we're about halfway there.
Okay.
Then I will start re-inviting
repeating.
people and bringing new people.
Plus,
on.
you guys got you and John have
Me
to
and
do
John
your
have
own.
to do one of our own, and Lou is more than welcome to bring one on, and everybody who's involved.
Yeah, Lou.
But we want to go through I think I want to get 20. So we're
plenty of
Fist
films.
up
we're
in
at
the air.
we're at about 10 right now total recorded. So but this has been a great series to do. So we get back to the movie.
Yep.
She breaks up with him. He is full-fledged force going ahead, and he is going to destroy the school with a bomb.
On a mission.
On a mission. He comes to her house to kill her. She has to pretend to have killed herself.
She hung herself.
She hangs herself.
with some
The old
harness.
fake knot
Yeah.
deal
Yeah.
that she kind of put off. And
Yeah, right.
she
He
pulled
recognizes the knot as fake, correct? Is that what happened?
off. No.
Well, no.
He gets
trying to
fooled.
remember.
He mentions
gets-
afterwards that I think
Yeah, I should have known.
I should have
it was a
known
fake
better.
knot, but
Right.
he actually thinks she killed herself because when he comes over, he goes, I love you, but I was going to kill you.
Right.
Right. And he sort of confesses his whole plan when he thinks she's hanging there dead.
I was coming over to kill you, but I love you. You know, that type of deal line. And so he goes to the school and he hooks up the bombs and they're having the pep rally and it's all going on. The cheerleaders are singing and he's down in the base, the dungeon basement there.
Yeah, the boiler room.
And she, comes off and finds him and, she shoots his hand off.
Shoots him with his finger.
She shoot a finger off or something?
She shoots his finger off, yeah.
And then he shuts off the timer on the bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Puts the knife in it.
He puts the knife in it.
Yep.
That shuts it down.
Because I think he really did. Some people think I'm, but I think he really did love her because he listened.
I think so.
Because he listened to her.
Yeah.
He put the thing in. I think he really truly loved her, as psychopathic as he was.
Yeah, no, he
was in love.
You got to come from the baseline that he's not normal. Again, his father murdered his mother.
Right.
He makes it a point early on to say that there's a kind of a quote where he says, 7 different towns in so many years, and the only thing that's been the same different has been my my locker combination.
Yeah.
This kid moves around a lot. He moves around with a father that's just a
Father
weirdo.
who murdered his own
mother.
wife. Yeah.
I liked his father. I liked him and his father's interactions where they pretended to be the
right. They reverse roles.
Hey, son, you gonna introduce me to your girlfriend? Like that little stuff. I liked that.
That was funny. Yeah.
Again, I gotta kind of say it for a movie that I really. I'll be honest. Here's my
grows
night.
on you.
Here was my night last night. Right. I get home from like a 10-hour day at work. I still had about 40 minutes to edit on the episode I put out last night. 40 minutes of editing time means about 3 hours of real time when you're finishing because you got to edit it, then you got to put all the pieces together, and then you got to put it on Libsyn, and then you got to upload it. And then if I want to go further, I got to put it on social media, which I didn't do.
Yeah.
I finished all that at about 8:45, and now I've got to watch Heathers, which I'm not looking forward to.
Man.
So I'm kind of like, I don't have a lot of time. I'm working a lot lately.
It's under 2 hours, though, right?
Yeah.
No matter what I'm watching it.
I think it's
again,
90 minutes.
Again,
Yeah,
I'm not going to cheese out on anybody. We owe it to the people we're bringing on here. So I'm going to watch it no matter what. So I sit down, I throw it in. First 10 minutes, again, some of the dialogue's a little clunky. The first scene's a little weird with like the kind of fantasy croquet match with Wynona Ryder, her head sticking out of the ground.
Yeah.
Que sera, sera.
Que sera, sera, which begins the movie and ends the movie. I just wasn't sold right away. And then as the plot kind of started to work its way through, I was like, okay, I'm enjoying this. I think
it's because JD is a good character.
He is a good character.
He grows on you.
He does grow on you.
It's a lot to process, but he's. I will say boldly that he's one of the greatest anti-heroes in film history.
He's really good.
He's just an amazing anti-hero because you find yourself, he's doing bad things.
You do find yourself rooting for him.
But you like him. Yeah, you like him. He's a likable guy.
You like him until you don't.
Until you don't, right, exactly.
Because here's the thing. Wynona Ryder as Veronica carries this movie, right? She is, to me, the linchpin of this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you're following her and you feel, even though she's done some stuff, you're seeing this through her eyes. You're following her. JD, to me, was a cool character until she had her turn on him. Right. And then at that point, the audience goes, no.
Yes. Yep.
And that's how I felt. I felt
exactly.
like,
I agree.
This guy is bringing me along. I do like this guy. Suddenly, she realizes that things are hinky. And now you're like her, and you're going.
You almost get her point of view,
right? Because there really is a clear delineation,
and that's good writing when you can do that and manipulate the audience like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a clear line in this movie where you're kind of like understanding what he's doing. Okay, he's lying a little bit. He's killing people, but you know what? These people are not necessarily the best people. Do they deserve to die? But then it suddenly becomes okay. He's going to kill everybody. He's going to blow the school up. This is not cool.
All right. If you weren't in the popular crowd,
right?
Who hasn't had that fantasy? Not so far as to but who's like, fuck these popular.
Fuck these people. Everybody. I've never, I'm the guy. I don't think I've ever want to kill anybody. I'm the guy that has has violent. I'd punch you in the fucking face a million times.
I don't know about you guys. You guys seem to, but I'm the same way I was in high school. I was a geek. I was into comics, Tales from the Crypt comics, horror films, superhero stuff. I was into that stuff in high school. And I went to a high school that was, mostly, jock sports oriented. So it's like I can relate to,
your problem is that you and mine too is that you and I went to school way, way, way too early. Because the kids that are going to school now, they're like you or I. You
Well,
know,
I mean, even the kids in the 80s were into that kind of stuff too. And then, like, I graduated in the early 90s. It was kind of like, sports was the big thing. Like, but now it's popular, right?
Right.
It's like to be a pop culture geek is popular.
right? That's what I'm saying. I'm saying
You're looked up.
I'm saying
people
we
think
It's better
cool.
to be a nerd nowadays than it
People think it's
was
cool.
That's
in
what
the
I mean.
80s.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
that's what I mean.
I went to
Is-
school in the 80s, and that's
Right.
absolutely true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You were. That was when you were Flood. You were.
Yeah, that was my nickname. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was Flood.
People
Yep.
were into bands in the 80s.
Yeah.
Music
Yep.
was a big thing. Well, but now it's
And
cool
sports.
to be
A lot of
yeah.
everyone's into sports, and
it's kind of a relatable film too. It's to the extreme, like one of the quotes. The extreme makes the big impression.
Yeah.
know?
Oh no.
Yeah.
It's murder is certainly the extreme, but like there's not many people unless you were a Heather at some point that can't watch this movie and go fuck. I watch this movie and I feel terrible for Martha Dump Truck, and
Yeah. Oh,
I feel
absolutely.
really bad for Betty, even though she's not really being bullied in the movie because she's
She
been
lost her
passed.
friend,
She's been
yeah.
passed on by because her friend decided it was just one day. It was
but
better
at
to be
least
cool.
Veronica is still nice to those people.
Veronica
she
is nice.
doesn't
never
do
loses
the
her
bitch,
soul.
turn on
Veronica
them.
never loses her soul through the whole
Right.
film. That's a main point of the
Yeah.
film is that she has a soul, whereas the other two Heathers just don't.
The
have souls.
Heather 1 and Heather 2 have no soul.
soulless.
Heather 3 does.
Yes,
Heather
yes,
3
I
is
agree.
still not a bad
Right.
person.
Right.
She's
a follower.
She's
a definite follower.
Heather 3, in my opinion, was probably Veronica not too long ago.
Right.
Right, a
She probably
follower.
got
Yeah.
sucked into this world, and now she's that's her thing.
What is Veronica? She says to her in the bathroom. People aren't happy every day. If you were happy every
You'd
day,
be a game show
You wouldn't
host.
be a
Yeah.
you'd be a game show host, which I thought was just one of the best lines.
That's a
in
good
the
line.
film.
It's true. Game show hosts are always fucking excited
Yeah.
about something.
Such a funny line, but the film, it's quotable. There's so many quotable lines in it. It's just one of those films so many people quote throughout the whole film.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just jam-packed with
I think the
quotes.
one that was to me the most known to me without knowing it was from Heather's was I've heard "fuck me with a chainsaw" many times,
Right.
and did not realize that was from Heather's. When she said it, I went, "Oh, that's where this is
Yeah.
from." Okay, all right.
fuck
Like
me
I
with
said,
a
there's some good
chainsaw.
stuff in there. Lloyd, we're getting towards the end of the show. Do you want to? Do you have the box office for the week ending?
I actually do have that.
All right.
Wow.
This film
Amazed that
came
you
out.
asked me.
This film came out on March 31st, 1989. It was filmed between July 5th and August 17th of 1988. I think it was like a 33-day shoot.
Okay.
Okay, and it was
That's
takes
pretty
place,
quick.
It takes place in Ohio, but it was filmed entirely in L.A. and Pasadena
Right.
and all around that area.
I think it made
from what I hear,
1.1 million.
A
It
$3
was-
million budget.
Yep.
Right. So the first weekend made $177,247.
It did not even crack the top 10.
Right.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
it was
bomb.
terrible.
And the other thing I
I
noticed,
think
too,
it was maybe number 13 or no, maybe 16. It was down
It
there.
was way down there. And the other thing I noticed when I looked up the stats for box office was that, and I thought maybe it was limited release, this actually didn't get a wide release in terms of
Right, it was
at
like
least right away.
34 theaters. something
34
ridiculous.
theaters. The second week was like 27.
Yeah.
The third week was like 38. So they put this out very slowly, unless maybe a month later they dropped it again.
Right. But it was only out 5 weeks.
Yeah. So I think part of it was that this, I'm sure there's a story somewhere. I'm wondering if even before, the time we're living in with all these school shootings, I'm wondering if maybe the company that made this maybe said, we got this property that like maybe
New World Pictures.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe we can't put this out there to everybody, That's just conjecture on my part. I don't know that for a fact,
Right.
but go ahead and give us what was the top 10 movies of that week ending, April 2nd, right?
Week ending April 2nd. So here we go. Top 10 movies. Number 1, Rain Man. 16 weeks.
Wow, that was a
16
hit.
weeks. What does it say? For that weekend was 5.5 million still.
Yeah, so finishing off
Right.
in its run, it's still
Yep.
making $5.5 million.
Number 2, Fletch Lives. 4.2 million. That was third week.
Okay.
Number 3, The Rescuers.
Oh,
A reissue.
The Disney cartoon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2.8 million. That was also the third week. Number 4, a good movie, Lean on Me.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, 5 weeks,
Joe Clark.
2.29 million. Number 5, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Party on, dudes.
another favorite film of mine.
Yeah, that's on my
Just
list.
shy of 2 million. That was 7 weeks. I don't recall this one. Leviathan.
Oh yeah, the sea movie.
3 movies in 1989.
I don't think I ever
came
saw that
out.
one.
Deep Star 6, starring Greg Evigan. About
The Abyss.
The Abyss was in the last one, and obviously the best one. And Leviathan. They were all deep sea movies about well, except for The Abyss. Leviathan and Deep Star 6 were about deep sea vessels or bases that were attacked by some kind of monster.
Right.
Like The Cave is kind of.
Yeah. Leviathan stars one of my favorite actors ever because I love saying his name with his voice. Peter Weller.
Oh, all right.
RoboCop. And he talks.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey
Peter
there, he
Weller.
talks like this.
Yeah.
So that was number 5, right? Or number 6, Leviathan. Number 7, Dead Bang.
Don Johnson. It's a
I
Don
don't
Johnson.
remember that one.
Never saw it, but it's a
1.8
Don
million.
Johnson movie.
That was 2 weeks. Number 8, Troop Beverly Hills.
Shelley Long.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Shelley Long.
1.76. That was the second week. Number 9, Chances Are.
Oh, Robert Downey Jr. and Sybil Danning.
Yeah.
Oh, not Sybil Danning.
Shepherd.
Sybil Shepherd. Excuse me. Yeah.
1.75 million, 4 weeks. And number 10, Dangerous Liaisons.
Ooh.
1.68 million in 15 weeks.
That was when Michelle Pfeiffer was white hot.
Yeah.
She's still
I don't think you want to hear the rest, but yeah, Heather's was down there at like 13, 14, 15.
Oh, yeah,
number
it bombed.
16 at
Wait,
100,
yeah, we-
177,000.
Yeah, we don't bring these up to put the movie in perspective. We just like to. It's more of like an idea of like what was
Right.
out at that time. You
Well,
know?
it's kind of like Heather's is kind of like The Thing. You know, it was bashed
Right, did not
when it
make-
came out, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
it became revered years later.
Yeah,
Years later,
there's a
it
lot of
became
movies
revered.
like
Cult
that.
Classic.
There's a lot of movies that come out in the theaters and just fart out. Nobody cares.
Yep.
I'll tell you a movie that I saw that I loved when I saw it in the theaters, and I remember it disappearing immediately. And I even remember being old enough to go, "That is going to catch on," and I was right. Office Space.
Oh, that was great.
I saw Office Space in
Yeah.
the theaters. I loved it. It disappeared.
Yep.
Yes.
And I remember saying to myself, people slept on that motherfucker.
Yeah.
And
Well,
a year
did
later.
you read my? Yeah, I just wrote a list. Not to plug myself, but I just wrote a
no,
list.
plug yourself. That's what you're here for.
Yeah.
My latest top 10 list was Dan changed the title.
That's in one of my future top 10 lists.
It's in 2
podcasts.
of mine. Yeah, my I did a list top 10 1990s films that bombed at the box office but were later revered.
Oh, well,
type
that's
of deal.
gotta be up
Top
there,
10.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Office Space is on there. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, that movie.
Definitely.
That movie bombed hard.
Absolutely, and it became a favorite. I don't know anybody who doesn't.
He's had a
love
couple
Office
other.
Space.
He's had a couple other particularly idiocy that didn't do well. That has been revered later on, but is nowhere near as popular as Office Space. Office Space is a phenomenon. That movie everybody knows, and it was heavily thankful to not just DVD or video cassette DVD sales, but Comedy Central started playing it all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
You
it's
could
another
always see it on there.
quotable film.
Oh,
and,
super quotable.
I mean, and I love Ron Livingston.
The
Yeah.
Stephen
My
Root
favorites.
character is hilarious.
They started making red fucking swing light staplers because of that movie.
Yeah.
They didn't make them before that.
That's
Red
insane.
Lights.
Yeah, and I just want to bring this up to you, Lloyd, because I know you're a fan as well as I and a collector. I picked my wife up one last week. They are now doing Office Space pop vinyls.
Oh, come on.
I got her. I think I got her Bill Lundberg. They're doing.
right.
They have Lundberg. They have Peter Gibbons. They have Joanna, the
Yep.
Jennifer Aniston character, and they have Milton. So if you're looking for those, they're out at the Hot Topic.
What do they call that shit that she puts on her
Flair.
flare? Right. You have to have 17
Tchotchkes,
flare.
Yeah.
The best thing though is, can you run us through a day at work? Well, I come in,
Right.
put on the computer,
Yeah.
kick the chair back, put my feet up on the desk.
Yeah, when he gets hypnotized.
Yeah, every
Right.
10
This
minutes.
guy we gotta have.
Every 10 minutes,
This
I'll
is the
pretend
guy.
I'm doing work, and then I'll go back to.
How much
daydreaming.
work do you do in an average day? I don't know, 40 minutes. Was it 40 minutes?
This guy's management material.
Yeah. He's a straight shooter with management written all over him.
In the Neil Diamond.
Oh, man.
Your real name's really Neil Diamond?
Oh, no, not Neil Diamond. Michael Bolton.
Michael Bolton.
Michael
I'm sorry,
Bolton,
yeah,
that's
Michael Bolton. Yeah.
You want to hear some crazy facts about
Yeah, give us some
Heathers?
crazy facts.
All right. So Daniel Waters, the writer, he wanted the screenplay to be directed by none other than Stanley Kubrick.
Stanley Kubrick.
Right.
Yes.
I did read that today.
Yep.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yep. But that didn't go over. So we got Layman. You know what some of the other choices for Veronica were?
I did read them. Actually, I do know. I don't know if it was Veronica, but Heather Graham was offered a role.
That's right.
Her mother told her she couldn't take
Right.
it.
Yes,
She's like,
that's right.
nope, you're not
Too-
taking
too
that.
dark.
And I can't see her in it.
I can't either.
She was going to be, I think it was Heather, who was Kim Walker?
Heather won.
Heather won. So
Heather
she was.
won,
It was the Heather won role.
Chandler. Heather
Yep.
Chandler.
And Shannon Doherty had a hard time swearing because she was raised like really
Right.
religiously.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they had a hard time
Mormon or
getting her to
something?
say stuff.
something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Right. So some of the choices for Veronica that all turned it down were Drew Barrymore, Justine Bateman, and Jennifer Connelly.
Wow.
From Labyrinth.
Okay.
Yeah, they all turned that down. We already talked about Brad Pitt because he was too nice. Yeah, Heather Graham, she didn't do that role. And I think it was Wynona Ryder's agent begged her
Not to do it.
not to do this role because she said it would ruin your career.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know if that ruined her career. But
Interesting story about Heather Graham. I don't know if Heather Graham will ever hear this podcast.
No, probably not.
I doubt it.
When one year I worked at Tribeca Film Festival. They walk around, the celebrities, they come in. And
Does this story end with you banging Heather Graham?
No.
Okay,
I
all
mean,
right.
Tell me it
no,
does.
it's not that
All
good. No. No, they're quite the opposite. Most of them are nice. Most of them will come up to you, shake your hand, and say, thanks for working the
Right.
festival, or you having a good time. Heather Graham came in with an entourage. She was wearing sunglasses inside, a really short skirt, and she would not look at any of the Tribeca Film Festival workers, staff.
Oh, yeah.
Just totally snobbish Hollywood. We were beneath her.
Right.
And she just walked straight through. And I'm thinking, I loved License to Drive, but you had a cool little role in it. I think it was her first major film.
Look.
But other than Boogie Nights, what have you
Swingers?
Really, what have you really
Boogie
done?
Nights, Swingers, and
The
Austin
Hangover?
Powers too.
The Hangover.
And I don't think anybody thinks of her for The Hangover. In all honesty, she's in it.
And and by all means, to the audience, I'm not trying to brag here, but when you worked at Tribeca Film, you're seeing like Susan Sarandon come
Right,
through. You're seeing
yeah.
real actors come
Right.
through. Whoopi Goldberg, Susan Sarandon. These people, actresses, coming through. So Kim Cattrall was there. So she brought a little Hollywood to New York.
He soured on Heather Graham for sure.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? That's all
But
right.
she was nice to look at.
Oh, yeah.
Very
Oh,
pretty.
God, yeah.
Very pretty.
Does this story end with you banging Susan Sarandon?
No.
Okay.
But
Please tell me it
does.
But I did get to meet her.
Okay.
Nice lady.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Super nice lady.
Yeah.
She actually had the after party at her club, Spin, in New York. She hosted it.
Right. She has a ping pong club,
Ping
right?
pong club, yeah, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
She's great in The Hunger.
I like
never
Susan.
seen that.
Yeah,
I've
it's a
seen
great
that,
film.
man.
Yeah, I like Susan Sarandon. Beside all the political stuff,
Yeah.
I like her.
Yeah.
alone.
The
She's a great
only thing
actress.
I like about the Rocky Horror Picture Show is the fact that I mentioned this on one of the last podcasts. Is
I
she's
don't
in,
like that film.
No, me
Yeah.
neither. But she's in.
But she's good.
She's in wet nighty the whole time.
I got bashed. I did a top 10 cult films list, and I refused to put Rocky Horror on because I just don't like the film, and it's my list. And I got bashed for that. For my readers.
But in the comments?
How could you not, for my readers,
Yeah.
how could you not include
Because
Rocky
this is
Horror?
my list.
It's my list.
This is my podcast.
I'm
If
not
you
saying
don't,
it's not a great cult film, but it's not my list.
Right.
It's not one of my favorites.
I put this podcast out because I expect people to listen to what me, Lloyd, and John have to say, and they could disagree with us all day long. But in the end, don't come to me and say,
Right.
you should have this on there. No, I don't, because you want to come on, bring it on, put it on. But it doesn't mean it's my thing.
Yep.
I think Rocky. We talked about this again. I think it was maybe 2 podcasts ago. Rocky Horror Picture Show is a piece of shit.
See, I like parts of Rocky Horror. I like looking at Tim Curry.
Yeah.
It's just something about that character. It's
I get that. I get that.
It's just
it's
attractive. I don't know. There's just something about it.
He's
And
powerful.
I love the Time Warp song.
That is a good song. I give him that.
People in the comments were like, well, you didn't really watch it. Really watch it. And I'm like, really? I did. I've seen it at the York Square Cinema several times. It aired there all the time in New Haven.
Larry
York Square Cinema.
Dwyer was here when we talked about it last
Right.
time. And Larry said it best. He said he used to go all the time, and he said it was a great experience. He said it's a piece of shit movie.
It's a good experience. Bad, exactly.
Right.
Kudos to you, Larry.
You know what?
agree.
I went to the theaters and saw The Room. Tommy Wiseau.
I never bit that. I never drank that Kool-Aid either.
But I'll tell you
I've
what.
seen the film.
I'll tell you what. I went there. I had a great time. I laughed at it. It's a terrible fucking movie.
Absolutely.
Don't come to me and say, "Oh, The Room is like avant-garde." Or
I have
it's
yet
shit.
to see that.
It's not even Andy Kaufman-ish level. People say, "Oh, it's Andy Kaufman-ish because he knows he was making a bad
No,
film."
he doesn't.
Not
no,
really.
no.
No.
The Room is good because he doesn't know he was making a bad film.
Right.
He does not have any clue that, and that's why I kind of did like the what was the movie they made about it?
Oh,
Disaster Artist.
Yeah.
with James,
because it
with
really
Franco.
showed. It really showed that he was on his own planet the whole time.
Absolutely.
All right.
Ego trip. Just
He's
like
totally ego tripping. So you have any other good facts for us, Lloyd?
No, I think that's it.
All right, Neal Damiano. Did I say it right? All right.
Damiano.
Give everybody out there in Pint of Comics land every single place they can find you on social media. Your website, obviously, top 10.
If you care to read some top 10 lists, go to www.top10films.co.uk. If you go to the contributor section, you'll drop down. You can see my name, and you can see all my lists.
I've been on it. I've been reading some of your lists, and I know that when you click on your like one of your lists, you can click on your name, and then it will just drop you into a pile of top 10
if you're
lists.
bored and you want to read them, and it's good read.
Lists are fun.
Yeah.
But on my Instagram is Neal_Damiano_. And my Twitter is Neal Reviews and the number 1.
And let's be clear on this. This is Neal with an A. N-E-A?
Neal with an A.
Okay.
N-E-A-L.
Not that N-E-I-L bullshit.
N-E-A-L. And my Facebook's just my name, but I'm on Letterboxd. I do reviews on Letterboxd. You can find me
I
on
started
there.
getting to that, and I just couldn't. I liked it. I like it. It was just one of those things that, like, I see a movie, and for a while I would go right to Letterboxd, and then I just forget 90% of the time,
I try to kill. I got about 30 reviews on there, but there's all these. Now there's this one Binge where you could write really, really short reviews and rate films. It's gotten.
The shorter, the better.
Yeah, I mean, I write short reviews anyways, but they're not like 2 sentences. They're at least 5 paragraphs. But I know people that like really write in depth and analytical reviews. I'm not that type of reviewer.
Yeah, no, I prefer. Stuff
I like the more down home kind of stuff.
I like bullet points. I give Chris Frodell a lot of credit. I like his stuff. Arguing with myself, he's a friend of ours, part of the Pint. He writes very. I don't want to say short, but he writes
to the point.
To the point. You know what I mean? There's not you don't have to bite through. You don't have to bite through a bunch of shit.
You don't have to do a Roger Ebert review. You know what I mean?
Right.
I keep it Peter Travers. Short and sweet and to the point. But no, I mean that's all the places you can find me if you guys care to read it, and I appreciate it. I hope you do. But,
Absolutely. Like I said, I've
with
been
all
looking
these
at
outlets now, there's which is a good thing. I mean, there's so many. You got like Screen Rant, Cinema Blend now, and like all these outlets now. It's amazing.
Everybody's a critic.
News. Yeah, that's
everybody's got a podcast. Everybody's a critic.
Everybody's critical. Everybody either likes your writing or they bash you, and I take on all audiences.
It's crazy.
You know what I mean?
You know what I just learned about today?
What?
Click Farms.
What the fuck is that?
Never heard about this.
Click
before.
Farms. Yeah.
Holy cow! You buy likes basically.
Yeah, I will never.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez, that's pitiful. I mean,
there's a lot of.
I like getting my likes, but that's what I like about Top 10 Films is that it's responsive. It's most of the readers are out of England because it's a popular site in England.
Yeah,
right.
It has its.
So loyalty. Do you have to like put U's in your words like humor?
What do you mean? Like
the English spellings?
No, favorite VOU.
Right.
Has anybody ever been so mad about one of your reviews that they threatened to headbutt you through the fucking face? Nothing like that.
No, nothing like.
Is there any
wrestling?
Cockney accents in the comments?
No.
Dear Neal Damiano,
How
fuck you.
Yeah, what that's a piece of shit. What No, I mean like. Nothing like that. People call me like wankers and stuff. But
I love that word. We got to adopt that over here somehow.
Yeah. I like English culture, but the guy likes my writing, so I can't. But he's been supporting my writing for years. But you get positive responses. You get good people that are into the lists and will comment and be like, "Oh, I forgot about that film."
Do you ever reply to comments? Or
yes,
you just let the comments?
I do.
Yeah,
I reply.
Okay.
I reply. I thank everyone for commenting. And it's in the site makes it easy to comment because you could just all you do is you put your name in, your email address, and then your comment and it posts. You don't have to sign up for anything.
Right, that's bullshit.
You don't have to do any of that.
We used to have comments on our website.
Yeah, they shut it off because it was just it was all Russian spam.
Right, that's what it was.
I think
spam.
I might be married to another. I think I might have like a Russian bride on the way by mistake.
These are real people that follow, and there's like a couple of them. Big shout out to Sin Girl. She always comments on my stuff. Always, every list I do, she does.
Well, then do us a favor and make sure to spread this out. Make sure you spread this out when it comes out so that your friends listen to it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But before we go, because we did forget this on one episode, I don't want to forget it. There's always one thing we do at the end of the Pint Movie Invitational. Scale of 1 to 5. 1 being you didn't like it, 5 being I love it. Half scales are fine. Don't give me 3/4 bullshit.
Like Barstool, he wants the half.
Yes, I don't want like it was a 2 3/4. Give me 2.5, 3, blah blah blah. And if you want to pull a Johnson, we call it a Johnson. And if you hated the movie, which we know you didn't, you can go to 0. My personal thing is I try to give even the worst is a 1 because it's something's been created. Let's give it credit for that. So we'll start with Lloyd. We'll go to me, and then we'll go to you because I think we have an idea of where you're going to be at around. Lloyd, on a scale of 1 to 5, what do you give Heathers?
On a scale of 1 to 5, I'm going to give it 2.5 cups of Drano.
2.5 cups of blue.
I didn't really expect to like it. I saw it once before, maybe in the early 90s. I liked it more than I thought I would rewatching it.
I mirror you. I enjoyed it, but I'm going to give it a 2.5. Doesn't have a lot of replayability to me, but I did get more out of it than I thought I would have. Again, I'm not kidding when I tell you last night I was dreading watching this. I was like, fuck Neal for picking Heathers.
Fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy coming to my house and my podcast and making me watch this
Heathers.
fucking movie. No. But in all honesty, 2.5, it was a surprise to me. There was a lot of good stuff about it. So Neal, what do you give it?
Well, first off, I want to thank you guys for having me on.
Dude, thank you so much for coming.
It was awesome. I hope to be on again.
Absolutely. You know what we'll do? Well, real quick, we'll set up something. We'll do a top 10 list episode.
Oh,
yes.
absolutely.
All right?
Yeah.
Neal's top 10.
Yeah. You know what? Surprisingly, you guys don't think I'm going to go with I'll give it. You said you could do half.
Yeah, half.
Point?
Don't give me 3/4, 1/4 stuff.
4.5.
4.5. Okay, 4.5.
I won't give it a 4.5.
Yeah, I've never even gotten so far in any of these. I think the highest I've given anything has been maybe a 4. There are 5s in my world. And I think I gave the thing less than I wanted it to.
Yeah.
I think I gave it a 3.5 or a 4.
Wow.
I don't know.
The thing is closer.
I think I gave it a 4.
I got to listen to it again. The thing is like a 4.5. I
think 4 is the most.
4.5. Like Alien Jaws, that's getting a 5.
Yeah.
The thing's better than what I gave it. I remember listening to it back and going, "What the fuck did I say?"
Heathers gets a 4.5 black trench coats.
All right.
All right. 4.
But Valley Girl gets a 5.
Oh, okay. All right. That was his original choice too.
Yeah, that's a 5.
All right.
But real quick.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of? I've been battling people on this. The whole gasoline in the canteen at the end of the thing with Childs and McCready, whole mess. Now that's a huge debate. Is it Childs was the thing, McCready was the thing?
Oh,
this whole craze, it drives me nuts. Me personally. And I've seen Carpenter in interviews say this. Mick Garris has interviewed him and said, the characters were too revered. I could not leave them not human. Childs and McCready were human in the end.
I feel like they're human.
To debunk, yeah,
I've always felt like they're both human. Yeah,
that's how I felt as well.
Yeah,
absolutely.
There are stupid things that people have said. I can't remember exactly everything.
There are so many theories about.
Well, he gives them the drink right, and
there's like the glint in the eye theory. I'm like, that's the most ridiculous thing.
He gives them the drink, and it's gasoline.
The gasoline theory.
Wouldn't know that. That is people sitting in their underwear in their basement, like for too long.
But didn't I read that Carpenter actually admitted that I think McCready was the thing?
No.
I thought I read somewhere that he admitted that somebody was.
The only place they've ever actually supposedly answered it was in the early 2000s. They made PlayStation 2 made a video game.
Yeah, right.
And in the video game, I believe McCready dies, but Childs was a thing.
All right.
Yeah.
But they say that's canon, the video game, but I don't really believe that.
Because it was so long ago and there's really nothing connecting to it, it's hard to call it canon.
Childs had the perfect opportunity to kill him. Everybody says Childs more so is the thing. But when he says, well, let's just sit here a while and see what happens.
Right.
They both live. Nothing happened. Like they're both surviving this aftermath.
Well, that's the other.
Childs doesn't kill him.
The other half of it exactly is if the movie ended like you're saying, so it's moving into this ending. Why wouldn't Childs reveal himself, or why wouldn't McCready reveal himself? There's nobody else around.
Right.
You turn to the thing.
You just take over.
You kill the guy. You
point.
take over, and then you go into like he said, the thing is going to want to bury itself again and be found again in 100 years.
Human is the warmest place. It's going to want to be in somebody.
There's no reason that they'd be fooling each other with two of them left. So, in my opinion, they're both human, and I think the only thing that is a foregone conclusion is that they're not going to live.
Right.
They're dead.
Pretty much.
I think that's another thing. Do you think eventually someone finds them? You better find them in like 8 minutes.
Well, that was basically his swan. So like Kurt, fantastic line. He's just like, let's enjoy.
Just wait and see.
Time. But but even what was I going to say? People swear that Childs is just these weird theories with the whole lighting. and all that.
Now, throw it out.
Yeah, that's bogus.
Throw it all out.
And Carpenter has said, they were both revered. Childs and McCready were loved by those were the two favorite characters out of all. You know, these guys were revered. I'm going to leave them human. I'm not going to make one of them the enemy. You know, the thing.
Yeah,
right.
I kept them human.
What's the best line in that movie, John? Come on.
I don't want to stay tied to this couch till fucking Christmas.
There you go. Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. He just died, Donald Moffat. All right. So this has been Pint of Comics. I'm
is,
Johnny Ganache. This is Johnny Ganache, and we've got the master over there.
Yo.
Neal Damiano. Chilling with us from Top 10 Film UK, right? Is that
it's out of the UK? Yep.
And I'm going to say it this time because I always make Lloyd say it.
Yeah.
See ya.
It's over, Johnny. It's over. Nothing is over. Nothing. You just don't turn it off.